And Michael Famoroti joins us. He's head of intelligence at polling and data company Stears. Michael, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here at CGTN today. You're in the business of polling and predictions. When do you think we could get a final result, and who could win?
So if you mean the final INEC results, INEC knows. My guess is probably around, late on Tuesday. In terms of getting a good sense of who wins, I think that picture is building already. Just by looking at the regional trends, I think the APC candidate is so far looking like the clear front runner. The only caveat there is that we're not seeing enough data coming in from the Northwest, which has the most voters. So once we get more clarity there, I think we should be able to essentially extrapolate to the winner, if not the final vote itself.
And this was perhaps an expected narrow win in Lagos. Perhaps, though, we're seeing a bit of a change in generation, generational shift in Nigeria, with 18 to 35-year-olds making up nearly 40% of the electorate. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I'd actually say that the Labour Party win in Lagos was actually quite unexpected because, Stears put out a model and a prediction that Peter Obi was likely to just upset Tinubu, and that was quite a controversial call at the time. So it is still a bit of a surprise to me that did pan out. And I would say that, yes, it very much is a reflection of the change of the guard, not necessarily just the number of youths on the voter database, but the number of youths that are engaged in the political process. And I cannot imagine that this would have happened had we not seen the NSAS protest in 2020.
Now, the voting process is always a really big challenge in a big democracy like Nigeria. We heard Deji there saying there had been some issues with the technology. Is that playing a bigger role in this election?
Yeah, I would say that generally the sentiment is disappointment in that there was a lot of furor over the passage of the new Electoral Act and the implementation of electronic transmission. We haven't really seen that play out, honestly. There's still been a lot of manual collation, manual transmission, and that has left room for people to contest the final results. And we're still seeing that in Ekiti State especially, which was the first to announce even early yesterday.
So this election comes at a time when the country's facing a cash crunch and petrol scarcity, among other challenges. What impact will this have on voting, and what will President Buhari's successor need to focus on?
Yeah, so in terms of cash crunch and petrol scarcity, I think it's two sides. One is that it has definitely frustrated the electorate and probably convinced them that more drastic change is needed, possibly a third force candidate. At the same time, there are practical constraints because of the cash crunch that may prevent people from voting. So we're going to pay lots of attention to turnout and see how the cash crunch has affected it. In terms of what the new president has to pick up on, it's really the economy and the insecurity. In the last 10 years, we've really seen a lot of decline in Nigeria's living standards and increasing insecurity all around the country. Those are the two things that are top of the president's in tray.
And do you think Nigeria can create a more attractive environment for foreign investment? And how crucial is that to the long-term economy for Nigeria?
100%. I think the first thing is the elections. We need to ensure that by the end of the elections, the international community is sure of two things. One, that the elections were relatively free and fair, and two, that the incoming president is going to unwind some of the more harmful and constraining policies that we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years, namely the foreign exchange policy, but also something as long-term as the petrol subsidy. So once there is confidence that those are some of the things that the new president has a different stance on, then we're likely going to see more interest in Nigeria, if not investment per se.
OK, Michael, really great to get your thoughts today. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Michael Famoroti there from the polling and data company Stears.